Guys, welcome back. It is RacerX, and today I've got a pretty cool little video planned. I'm actually back with my buddies here at the Hurst Autoplex in Hurst, Texas, and you may remember I actually did a little video not too long ago where I showcased a couple of their cars. They had a Demon, they've got a Viper, they've got lots of really neat stuff. They did have a really neat red eye. They've got a couple of those here now as well. So, but today's a little different. I actually want to do a little bit of a switch here. I'm going to review a couple of their cars, mainly the Camaros. And I know, obviously, you guys, I'm a huge Mopar fan, but I do like all cars. I'm a big sports car enthusiast. And they've got both a 1LE version and a regular version of the ZL1. And one's a 10-speed and one is a manual. And I'm really excited to kind of review these two cars, show you the differences between the two. And it should be kind of a fun, exciting little video for me. Also, guys, if you are new to the channel and you like the content, make sure you slap that subscribe button right down there in the corner. And here we go. We got the 1,000 horsepower helmet. God. So this Hurst Autoplex, it's a really neat, it's kind of almost like more of like a boutique type dealership, and they carry a lot of really neat vehicles, specialty type vehicles for guys like me. So you can see they've even got trucks here. They've got big lifted like F-150 Platinums, they've got Raptors, all sorts of different trucks, and of course they've got a whole slew of really neat sports cars. I've seen a GTR back there. I saw a 2014 Shelby. I mean, they've got lots of really neat stuff here. So kind of whatever your flavor is, this dealership is fantastic, and their customer service is really good as well. So I want to give those guys a real quick shout before we start out. So check this out here, guys. I'm actually in the showroom at the Hurst Autoplex, and check it out. They've got a ZR1 here that is just gorgeous. I absolutely love this car, and guys, as you know, I'm a big Mopar fan, but you want to talk about a beautiful specimen. I've always really liked Corvettes, and this thing is about as bad as they come. You guys may have seen our friend Street Speed 717, and he's got a car like this on his channel. He's always running that thing, but that is just a beautiful car, and they've also got a really sharp looking Z06 back here. It's a 2019 in that brand new color, so I mean, just beautiful Corvettes here to speak of as well. Out there they are in the flesh, both of these ZL1 Camaros. The gray one behind me here is actually the 1LE version, and then you've got the ZL1, the regular ZL1 package here. Both of these cars are absolutely beautiful. The 1LE package does cost a little bit more, and I want to cover some of the differences in these two cars. I'm actually going to drive these two cars a little bit later and kind of tell you about my thoughts between the two. But as you can see, the first thing when you look at one of these ZL1s is just how big the grill is on the thing. I mean, look at, I mean, that sucker's pulling in some serious air. It's got a very mean look to it. And then check out the 1LE version, which you can see here behind me. Look at the canards, if you will. I mean, just the aero on this thing is absolutely insane. I mean, for the money, I kind of have to admit that the ZL1 1LE package is about as mean as they come when you talk about a car that you can pick up between that $60,000-$70,000 range. You talk about a serious road presence, but these two cars are actually you know, a little bit different from an aero perspective. So I want to kind of jump into that a little bit. So here is another look at it. When you look at the normal ZL1, you can kind of see what that splitter looks like in the front. And then we jump over here to the 1LE. Let my shadow get in the way, but you can see it's a much deeper splitter, and then of course you've got these additional pieces here for the aero to kind of keep that front of the car nailed to the ground. And this is more of a track focused or a road course focused car, this 1LE, versus this one more of a street warrior. And they're both fantastic vehicles. So one of the most noticeable differences between the normal ZL1 Camaro and the Camaro 1LE is the wing on the back. So this is our normal ZL1 here. You can see it does have a really nice looking spoiler here. Kind of get a little lower to kind of give you some degree of what that looks like. But then when we jump over to the 1LE, things change quite a bit. And this is the most prominent thing about this car when you see it from behind. But look at the wing on this 1LE. It is something else. It actually sweeps forward quite a bit, and you can see it's actually carbon fiber. What a beautiful wing on the back. I mean, this is an aggressive looking car, guys. This isn't necessarily for everybody. This thing is more of a scalpel type weapon versus kind of a more of an everyday driver type like the other ZL1. Very specialized. Below the wing, it's pretty similar, but the wing is super noticeable. When you see one of these 1LE cars, it's unmistakable. Yeah, that wing is just nuts looking. But I like it. It's kind of cool. Okay, so one of the next things I want to talk about is the difference in the tires between these two cars. So here we've got the regular ZL1. This is a 305 width tire. It actually is a Eagle. It's an Eagle supercar. It's a normal street tire, 305 in width, which is actually fantastic. It's a lot more meat that you get under this car than you would on, say, like a Hellcat with a 275, a non-wide body Hellcat. But it is a 305. But this is a normal street tire from Goodyear. The tires on the 1LE car are significantly different. And here we have the 1LE car, and this tire is significantly different. It actually it even looks different. This is really kind of like a cup tire that you would see on some of the high-end Corvettes. This is a 325 width tire on this thing, guys. So this one is actually even wider than what you get on the normal ZL1, and the tread pattern is actually significantly different. Just a completely different tire altogether. This thing is made for road course work versus street work like on the other ZL1, and you can really see it when you look at the two cars. These two tires just have a completely different presence and look to them. Very different purposes these two cars were built for, even though they're essentially the same platform. Now, I do want to point out that the transmissions in these two cars are different, but both transmissions are available in both the non-1LE and 1LE packages. So the red car here, you've got an automatic transmission. Matter of fact, I'd like to go ahead and show you what the inside of this car looks like. And as you can see, it's got the red stitching. It's got the leather kind of suede appointed seats here. It's actually a really nice place to sit, guys. This car is really nice on the inside, a little tighter than, say, like a Hellcat would be. But in the back seats, of course, as you know, they're quite small. But in terms of driver comfort, it's fantastic. It does have this the steering wheel here that's got the flat bottom on it, and it's got the kind of nice suede feel to it, a lot like you'd see in maybe like a Demon or something like that if you're a Mopar guy. But it's really, really sharp. You can see the kind of the carbon fiber type finish it has inside here. Might be a little bit hard to see, but really, really nice on the inside. I love the red seat belts, and the other car looks almost identical, but as you can see, this is an automatic and the other is a manual. And here we have the 1LE car. You can see it looks almost identical on the inside, little bit different, and then of course you've got the 6-speed manual transmission right there. So what is at the heart, or what is the power plant like in a ZL1 Camaro? Well, these two cars actually have the same identical power plant. It's called an LT4. It's a 6.2 liter aluminum motor, aluminum heads, and it's got a supercharger sitting on top of it. And as you can see, there it is. That's the 1LE, but I mean, the two motors are essentially identical. This is actually the same motor you would get in the Camaro, I'm sorry, in the Corvette Z06. So it's a power plant that they use in their really high-end stuff. The only car I believe that puts out more power than this is the ZR1 Corvette, and we all know that that is well into the 6-figure range. So for the money, this Camaro is quite a good deal. Another thing that I do like about the ZL1 Camaro is the hood. It looks obviously different than a regular, say, Super Sport Camaro does. You can see this particular hood here has kind of a recess in it, and it's kind of got a carbon fiber inlay, if you will, and it just looks really, really sharp on the car. It kind of gives the hood more definition, because the hood is quite big on this car, but because of that, it kind of gives the hood a real nice, mean look to it, and I quite like it. It's pretty nice. And of course the 1LE, you can see behind me, I've still got the hood up, but it's got the same, the same hood on it. As you can see, the 1LE car has it still comes with the Brembo brakes. These are obviously red in color. The other one here, same size brakes, silver in color, just another little difference between these two vehicles. Okay, so one of the other big differences between these two cars is the suspension, and this is kind of the big kicker for these two cars. So, and I wanted to highlight this. The 1LE car has spool valve dampeners, which basically means that the car is sprung fairly tight. I mean, this is a road course warrior, guys. So a lot of little things. My understanding is this car is also about 50 pounds lighter than the normal ZL1 1LE because different wheels and things like that. But you know, weight-wise, I mean, you know, it's not going to be a huge difference. But the suspension on these two cars is very, very different. This particular one here is going to have the adjustable, the adjustable modes in terms of the suspension. You've got your sport track. It even has a snow and ice feature. Versus this one here, you've got the spool valve suspension in there, and that one, it does ride a little bit stiff. So if this is a car you're going to daily drive, the 1LE may not necessarily be the best option for you because it does offer a much stiffer ride than the normal ZL1. However, if you are looking for a weapon, the 1LE is an absolute blast. And actually, we're going to go ahead and drive these two cars a little bit, and I'd like to kind of just give you my assessment on how these two cars really drive, and is it really that different? So I'm actually aboard the 2019 Camaro ZL1, the red car, and you know, I've got everything sort of situated the way that I like it. I will say that the car really wraps around you quite nicely. If you're not used to kind of high door sills, you may not like this car, but that's just the Camaro for you. But I will say, on tip end, the car feels really solid. This is the 10-speed car. It's really nice and linear the way the power comes on. I will say the blower is not quite as loud as what I'm used to in my Hellcat. It's a smaller blower. You're talking about a 1.7-liter blower versus the 2.4 in the Hellcat. But you know what, guys, the car handles really nice. It feels quite composed. It's kind of that middle of the road feel. I mean, on turn in and stuff, the car still feels like it, I mean, it turns corners quite nicely. It's very comfortable, and I'm riding around in sport mode. So I'm actually gonna kind of run through a couple of gears here with the paddles. And you know what, here's one. You know, I'm not going super crazy with it, guys, but the car has a really nice power band, and you know what, it will get your attention in a hurry. The car feels very, very solid. It's like the perfect street warrior. I could literally cruise in this car all day long and be really comfortable, and it's actually quite fast. Having owned obviously a Hellcat, I'll put this right up there in speed with the Hellcat, a stock Hellcat, on the street. And that little 10-speed really does work nicely. So I'm actually quite pleased with the car. I think from a fit and finish perspective, I'm quite pleased with it. While it is different than, say, you know, a Hellcat or even a Mustang, the car has a really nice composed feel to it. And you know what, it's got a nice amount of low end torque. It's got a nice amount of pull through the top end, and as you roll through the gears, even with the paddles, it feels just really, really solid. It's a very pleasant car to drive, and as I mentioned, I could literally daily this thing without any issue whatsoever. So I'm really quite pleased with the car. You know, it will break the tires loose if you want it to, but it also doesn't feel like it's out of control. One of the things about these cars, and kind of one of the knocks on them, is that, you know, why did they put such a small blower on the car? They could have gone with a bigger blower. But I find that this blower seems to really do well for this Camaro. I mean, you know, the thing is, it's not so much always about, you know, how much displacement the blower has, but it's kind of how efficient the thing is. And this blower actually, you know, for a smaller blower, it is quite efficient. And the way that it makes power is really nice and linear. You don't feel like you're lacking power whatsoever in this car. So now I am aboard the 1LE, and you know what? This is the manual car. This is the 6-speed car. And the first thing you'll notice is probably that my camera is jumping around a lot. Yes, it is sprung tighter than the normal ZL1. It is noticeable. Now, I'm running around in this manual car, and I will say that I am thoroughly enjoying driving this car. And boy, what a difference. And just feel the way this thing puts the power to the ground. This thing, the shifter's really tight in it. It feels unbelievably composed and just put on the ground in terms of just look at how quick the turn-in is on this. It is noticeable. You really do feel like you're driving a weapon when you're in this car. The shifter's really tight. The way it puts the power down is very precise. and it just feels very, very composed. And it is a completely different driving feel now because it is a little bit stiffer. Maybe the ride is not for everybody, but I will tell you, when you look at the complete package of this car, boy, I mean, the way it takes off, I can just feel the power in the car, the way the car's just genuinely composed, the way it has, look at how quickly the thing turns in. I will tell you, it is a different feel to this car, even though you sit in here, it looks the same. From a feel perspective, it is a completely different driving experience. And you know what? Oh, geez, it is stiff. I just went over some big bumps, but you know what? I could deal with this on a daily basis because I'm an enthusiast and just the kind of person that I am. I would have an absolute blast in this car, and I'm really, really enjoying driving it. It's just a ton of fun to drive it, and you can see it's putting a smile on my face. You know, like I said, it wouldn't be for everybody. You really feel like you're driving a very purpose-built car, and you are. You know, would I want to daily drive this car? Me? Yeah. But for most people, probably not. But then again, most people aren't a guy like me. So, you know, it just really depends on your personal preference, what you like. I'm really enjoying driving this 1LE car. And you know what? The two cars they're built for different things. You can feel it when you drive them. This is really making me miss a manual car because just the way that it puts the power down, it's just a really neat feel. There's something about a manual car to us true car guys that have been doing this a long time. There's something about the way a manual car feels, something that's well sorted. It's just, there's something about it. So I have just returned the 1LE to its rightful spot here at the Hurst Autoplex. So I want to kind of sum up my general feelings on these two cars. Obviously we have the ZL1, the regular one, versus the 1LE car. And both cars are fantastic. I've really enjoyed driving both. My general thoughts, the 1LE car is a legitimate weapon. You can feel it when you're driving it. It feels very purpose-built. It is it's a ton of fun to drive. If I was going to pick a car for just kind of everyday driving around, in terms of like, you know, the way I use the car, which is not every day, but in terms of just something to tool around on the street, something to have fun with, I would choose the 1LE car that I'm sitting in right now. I really, really enjoyed driving this car. It is a lot of fun. It is sprung a little bit tight, but for me, it's completely tolerable. I don't mind it. The car feels unbelievably composed in terms of the way it turns in, the way it behaves. You know, it's intuitive in terms of just the way the car behaves and just drives. I just really, really enjoy it. Now, if I am going to use the car for drag racing, this is not the car that I would buy. I would buy the other one. And if you daily drive a ZL1, buy the other one. I'm just going to tell you the way I feel about it. If you're a normal person, unlike a nut job like me, you probably enjoy the regular one more because of the dynamic driving modes that it has in terms of the suspension, you know, adjustments that you can make. This one, this is a track warrior here, this 1LE. A ton of fun to drive, but you know what? For drag racing, that big wing and some of the aero features that the 1LE car has, they're not ideal for drag racing. It's going to slow you down a little bit. Plus the manual, as we know, it's not like the old days where you used to be faster in a manual. The 10-speed is going to be a faster car at the drag strip. So for, you know, for everyday type driving guys, get the regular one. That car is fantastic. I could put my wife in that car and she could tool around all day long, and I would have the utmost confidence that she would just rock it. This car, you know what, guys? I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, the thing is very purpose-built. It's a ton of fun to drive. It looks fantastic. I love the way the thing looks. It's such a creature on the road. What a presence it has. But they just do two different things, and it just depends on what your driving habits are, guys. But both cars are fantastic in their own right. So I hope you liked the review of the two cars. Hopefully you agree with my assessment. If not, drop me a comment, or if so, drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about it. It's been fun, guys. Also, real quick, both of these cars are on sale at Hurst Autoplex in Hurst, Texas. Give those guys a shout. They're fantastic to deal with. Until next time, RacerX.